Hey, thanks for joining us on the Daily Drive today. My name is Mike Breaux, and we are currently downloading some songs from the Bible onto our playlist. Some lyrics, some beats, if you will, to help with our various battles. They come from the book of Psalms, and most are written by David. And yesterday we talked about dealing with disappointment and how disappointment can be the first step toward going down the staircase to discouragement all the way down to depression. Or disappointment can be the first step moving up the stairs toward desire and delight. And like I promised you yesterday, I want to give you 3 things that might help you move up that staircase. But let's just read Psalm 13 again. O Lord, how long will you forget me? Forever? How long will you look the other way? How long must I struggle with anguish in my soul, with sorrow in my heart every day? How long will my enemy have the upper hand? Turn and answer me, O Lord, my God. Restore the sparkle to my eyes. Give me light, or I will die. Don't let my enemies gloat, saying, we have defeated him. Don't let them rejoice in my downfall. But I trust in your unfailing love. I will rejoice because you have rescued me. I will sing to the Lord because he is good to me. I love how David moves up instead of down the staircase. So how do we do that? Let me give you 3 things. You might want to write these down. Just read them every day this week. Number 1, choose faith over feelings. Choose faith over feelings. Now, while we should, as David models, be totally honest with our feelings, our problem is that we think with our feelings and we let them drive our life. What I've discovered in all my years of walking with God and managing my own times of emotional funk and discouragement, it is the choices and decisions I make when the wind is knocked out of me. Those will determine the trajectory of my emotional attitude and my outlook. Emotions are great passengers, but they are horrible drivers. Now, like David says, when you choose to let the truth about God drive our lives, our emotions come along for the ride. But they are not in control. He says, here's what I choose to do. I trust in your unfailing love. My heart rejoices in your salvation. I will sing the Lord's praise, for he has been good to me. You see the choices he makes? I'm going to trust, I'm going to rejoice, and I'm going to sing. His faith was rooted in the character of God. Here's a second thing that will move you up the staircase instead of down. Choose faith over feelings, and choose God's presence over God's provision. Brother Lawrence, in his classic little book about practicing the presence of God, writes this: the most holy and necessary practice in our spiritual life is the presence of God. That means finding constant pleasure in his divine company, speaking humbly and lovingly with him in all seasons at every moment without limiting the conversation in any way. God longs for you and me to do that all day long. God longs for you and me to desire him a lot more than what he can give us. David also wrote this in Psalm 27, verse 4. One thing I ask of the Lord, and this is what I seek. And I wonder if you and I had a chance to ask God like that one thing. I wonder how many of our requests would be, hey, God, here's the one thing I'd like. I want you to do this. I want you to tell me this. I want you to fix this, change that, work this out, give me this, or let me know this. David says, I ask of the Lord one thing, and that I will seek. And here's what he asks for: that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to gaze upon the beauty of the Lord and to seek him in his temple. He says, I just want to know him. He writes here, God, if I only get one request, my one request is that I want you in my life. That's my one request. I just want to be close to you. And I'm discovering that it's out of that relationship, that desire to know him, that intimate friendship, that his answers for our life begin to flow. It's out of walking with him that he begins to make a way for us. One more choice. Choose faith over feelings. Choose God's presence over his provision. And then thirdly, choose joy over despair. Choose joy over despair. In every disappointing situation, you can assume the worst or you can assume the best. That's one of our staff values, that we're just supposed to assume the best. If you assume the worst, you'll be wrong sometimes, and you'll be bitter. If you assume the best, you'll be wrong sometimes, but you'll be joyful. Choose the most generous explanation. David writes this in Psalm 126. He says, restore our fortunes, Lord, as streams renew the desert. Those who plant in tears will harvest with shouts of joy. They weep as they go to plant their seed, but they sing as they return with the harvest. Isn't that cool? Notice the relationship between weeping and sowing. What he's saying is that during these times, instead of just sitting stagnant in your disappointment, make a choice to plant seed with God and let your tears water those seeds as you take him your disappointment and you express your desire and you make him your delight. You know, the most fruitful times of my life, my ministry times as well, my ministry life as well, more often than not, is when seeds were planted with tears. That they've been times of hardness where I just walked by faith. I couldn't allow myself to walk down the staircase from disappointment to discouragement to depression. I had to make better choices. I had to keep going. I had to ascend up the stairs into the presence of God. So today I encourage you to choose the same. Choose faith. Let's choose God. Let's choose joy today. I'll see you back tomorrow.